Ubisoft can't help but just step in the poop over and over and over again. It's ridiculous. And so they've gone out and lied and made this whole deal saying there's positive community sentiment around Assassin's Creed, which we all know is just complete BS or malarkey, as our good friend Joe Biden. Has anybody seen Joe Biden lately? Okay, sorry, that's another story. So there's a new player sentiment analysis which comes out, and of course, it shows that people are not loving Assassin's Creed Shadows. Surprise, surprise. Ubisoft lied again, and they're going to get into even more trouble as this keeps spiraling. My gosh, I can't imagine it can keep getting worse, but every day Ubisoft just does something stupid. They need to just scrap this game at this juncture. All right, my name's John Delarose, everybody. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here. And I am a comic creator. I would love for you to come back our project, almost $25,000 strong. You can help get us there today, and I appreciate us hitting this landmark, which is amazing. It's one of my most successful campaigns ever already, and it's not even close to done yet. But you're going to get a great graphic novel. The book's done, so it's going to deliver right as the campaign closes. This is something that we've been building for years, and we have a wonderful, wonderful storyline for you that you'll enjoy if you like good stories. So check that out in the description below. Thank you so much for supporting us again so far. And let's get into the Assassin's Creed news. A new player sentiment analysis conducted by Player XP contradicts Ubisoft's claim that Assassin's Creed Shadows has, quote, positive community sentiment. During the company's Q1 fiscal year 2025 sales conference call in July, an investor from HSBC asked about how pre-orders for both Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows have compared to previous Ubisoft releases. And Ubisoft's CEO said, "We don't disclose nor comment on pre-orders usually." Great. That's because they know exactly what's happening here. They know that there's not enough pre-orders to justify these AAA games and that they're in huge, huge trouble. The Ubisoft Sync has not even hit yet, even though their stocks have been in the toilet even before all these numbers actually get announced. What we can say is that we've been observing and measuring is our two big titles actually are among the most awaited games of the industry, and they enjoy very strong positive community sentiment overall. Now, this seems like complete BS because it is. I mean, if you look at any of the discussion surrounding Assassin's Creed, it's that gamers are annoyed with the black gay samurai. It's that gamers are annoyed with the fact that they're pushing LGBTQ content. It's that Japanese are upset with the bastardization of their culture, especially when it historically, obviously Yasuke was not a samurai. And they're also upset with just like the little details that they put into this, like putting in Chinese buildings into a Japanese setting, putting in a convention where they're hailing these historical swords, and it turns out it's just a deal from One Piece that they kind of stole. It's been a lazy setup through all of this, and Ubisoft's pushing wokeness from top to bottom, from the design up, is hurting this game so badly before it even comes out that it's really going to sink the Assassin's Creed brand. I mean, we're really at that point already. There's been a petition in Japan to cancel this game because of the complete and utter bastardization of Japanese culture through this. And you don't see anybody talking about this game in an excited fashion. I haven't seen one person be like, yes, queen, this is what I always wanted, was a black samurai lobbing off Asian men's heads to hip-hop music. And then I can go play as a female assassin, slay queen. I've not seen that at all. And of course, it's just barking up the wrong tree. So Player XP Community Sentiment Report on Assassin's Creed Shadows came out, and it disputes this claim. Surprise, surprise. The company found that overall sentiment calculated, which represents the voice of players, is a negative 13. Breaking down player sentiment by social media platform, it had a negative 14 rating on YouTube, where the majority of interactions came from, negative 7 on X, and a positive 2 on TikTok. Yay, TikTok. And a negative 55 on Facebook, though there were not a lot of interactions, so they don't actually think that's a good sample size. So overall, the sentiment is a negative thing. And it's a leaning negative towards everybody on almost every platform, and it's just barely positive, meaning that it's like right in the middle, just like right down the middle of the line on TikTok. So overall, negative 13. Average sentiment is saying that people don't believe this is going to be a good game. It's pretty obvious. I mean, if you just look at all the trailers and the gameplay footage they've come out with, people realize it's not, that it is just completely a DEI fest, and that people are just so sick of this coming from all the AAA games out there. Furthermore, the analysis detailed many of the biggest talking points and keywords have negative sentiment, including Japan, Ubisoft, Yasuke, and history. Player XP noted these all have significantly negative sentiment associated with historical element being the most negative at negative 45. This has been driven by players expressing concerns about the historical accuracy and cultural depiction. Now, this is a big deal because Ubisoft did push this as a historically accurate game to begin with. They did podcasts about it. They brought in these cultural experts who turned out to be liars. If you remember Thomas Lockley, he just made everything up, did not actually cite historical sources, and then said, oh, Ubisoft never consulted with me, which was also a lie because we've seen him on video on an Ubisoft channel. So all this stuff has come out and just shown that Ubisoft does not take this seriously. They don't take their players seriously. They're going to lie to you about as much as they can just to cover their own butts. And people don't like that kind of behavior in general, obviously. Ubisoft then was forced to apologize. If you remember just a few days back, they actually wrote an apology to Japanese gamers. It was kind of like a half apology. And they started leaning back on, this is not a historical accurate game. It's a historical fiction. And therefore, we've taken some liberties. And they basically said, you know what? We're going to release the game as is, and we're not going to worry about it. Sorry, not sorry. And that just pissed off Japanese gamers and gamers in general even further. That's why you have this negative community sentiment. So this added, additionally, the character Yasuke has received a negative sentiment score of negative 17 from the player community, aligning with the themes. Players have highlighted inaccuracies related to this character, so the character actually is looking worse than the gameplay, and that's a big portion of it. It's worth noting that Ubisoft player community is highly engaged with a record number of interactions on a short date range, and talking points around excitement of the launch drove positive sentiment to 34. So if you use the word excitement, that's what you get right there. So if you get into Japan, so this is an interesting breakdown right here. Just Assassin's Creed by itself, without the shadows, is about even. So you get mostly neutral interactions, and you get a split of angry and positive on the side, right? When you get into historical with it, the anger sentiment goes way up, and nobody's really positive about it. When you get into Yasuke, you've got a higher rating of negative than you do from positive, for sure. When you get into Ubisoft as a company, this is where it's really damning. The negative sentiment of Ubisoft as a company at 28%, that's a huge disfavorability rating. Wow. People do not like Ubisoft, and for good reason. I've talked with employees of the company. They say that like they have full-on seminars just thrown at them with DEI stuff where they're forced to answer questions. They're forced into these training meetings. They call them lunch and learns, where you learn about diversity. And they spend hours and hours and hours of the work week not actually working on making games better, making gameplay improvements better, but trying to condition the workers there that, you know, they need to care about black people in the LGBTQ community. What happened to companies actually trying to make money? No wonder that gamers are rejecting this at record rates. And then Japanese and Japan also has an extremely negative sentiment, as you can see right there. So the two biggest things, the company itself and then the element of Japan, which is where the setting is for this game, are big, big tells of how terrible this is being received by gamers. It was a complete lie by Ubisoft again. That one of the primary areas of negative sentiment is emerged around the monetization category. Notably, monetization topic is a recurring source of dissatisfaction as seen in the community's reaction to both Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws. The players' community has voiced frustrations about Ubisoft's perceived prioritization of monetization strategies over player experience, a sentiment that's influencing their reception of Assassin's Creed Shadows. The consistent negative feedback regarding monetization strategies suggests players feel unheard, affecting their overall trust in Ubisoft. And this is a big deal across the industry as well. It's these microtransactions, the downloadable content, the season passes out there, that you can't just buy a complete video game anymore and play through a story anymore. You are not getting a full video game. You're getting this like beta test half-made video game until they release more content and make you pay for it later. It's such a terrible system, and it's so consumer unfriendly. It's just been something that the video games industry has been plagued with for a long, long time, and starting to catch up with a lot of these companies. Now, these companies do this because the AAA games cost so much, like they can't even extract enough out of just like buying the base game itself. They have to try to find other ways to just like milk the players who are addicted to it already, and that's exactly what Ubisoft does and why they have such a bad reputation. So, my gosh, at this time, we could say AC may be among the high sellers of the company so far, is what they said, which is obvious. But the talk of Assassin's Creed Shadows is not looking good by itself, even though the last Valhalla was $1 billion property. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this, my friends. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out The Hidden Emperor on Kickstarter. Really appreciate you guys for doing so. We'll be back soon.